Shalom, Kahala Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yashai, Ba'Shem Ruach Kodash. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, with the house of David reborn again in this generation. And Shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to go over a segment that I like to call Week in Prophecy. This will be the third installment. Well, in these series, I simply just go through some of the more relevant topics that are going on and tie them to biblical prophecy. So let's go and get started. And we're going to talk about the march towards World War III. But let's read this first. This is Revelations 11 and 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly.
We today announce the kickoff of Exercise Steadfast Defender 2024, which commences next week and runs through May. Steadfast Defender 24 will be the largest NATO exercise in decades, with participation from approximately 90,000 forces from all 31 allies, plus our good partner Sweden. The alliance will demonstrate its ability to reinforce the Euro-Atlantic area via transatlantic movement of forces from North America. This reinforcement will occur during a simulated emerging conflict scenario against a near-peer adversary. Steadfast Defender 24 will be a clear demonstration of our unity, our strength, and our determination to protect each other, to protect, of course, our values and the rules-based international order.
What you're about to see is a news report that, if true, has serious implications for the next steps in what could blow up into a global conflict. And I hope I'm not exaggerating, but I'd be curious to hear your feedback in the comments, and please pass this along to others. People need to hear this.
I want to read to you what this article said today. The United States, Britain, and Ukraine are behind the terrorist attacks at Crocus City Hall. The chief of Russia's Federal Security Service, Alexander Borkunov, has told the media, quote, "We believe that this is true." What we have here today is the head of the Russian FSB, the Federal Security Bureau, their equivalent of the FBI, now is on record saying that his agency is convinced that the United States, Great Britain, and Ukraine were behind the terrorist attack in Moscow Friday night that killed 140 people. Think about this. If we had a terrorist attack in America, a mass shooting in a concert, and 140 Americans died, and 4 days later, the director of the FBI tells the American people, we know that Russia and China and Iran were behind this terrorist attack. What do you think would be the response inside the American society today? There would be calls for war. There would be demands for retaliation. Whether the United States and Great Britain were involved or not, it doesn't matter. The Russians believe that the United States and Great Britain were behind it. That's the only thing that matters, because that's what will drive them to declare war.
It says breaking, possible sea confrontation between Russia and NATO. The Russian Pacific Fleet has entered the Red Sea, making its way to the coast of Yemen, where multiple American and British ships carry out strikes against Houthis. So you see, we're about to see a lot of action in that region, right? We're seeing, as we watched in the first video, America and its NATO ally, which, if you've been watching these lessons, you know that NATO is the beast spoken about in Revelation, America being the whore that rides upon its back. Okay, well, they're being gathered into the area of the Levant, towards the area where the Lord prophesied he would take everybody to fight Armageddon, World War III. And as you can see here, this is the Russian fleet sailing, I believe out of port, going towards the Red Sea. And again, if you're not sure where the Red Sea is, let's take a look. It's down here. This is the Red Sea. Now, America has been attacking the Houthis around this area here, this nation here. So again, the Russian ships are coming up here, and NATO, they're going to be conducting their wars up in this area. Because again, they're right now in Ukraine. So again, you're going to see a lot of the steadfast defender. I think treaty is going to be happening in the European area. So that being said, that's what's going down. And the thing is as you heard from the second video, Russia, which is Magog in the Bible, which is going to come up against America, Babylon the Great. Like as you heard them, they're convinced that the West is involved. And why is that? Well, because it says the Moscow terrorists received money and crypto transfers from Ukraine. And where is Ukraine getting all of its money right now? Well, America. Okay, so Ukraine is simply just a puppet for the American proxy war that it's being thrusted into. And Russia knows this, and this is why you're going to start seeing a lot more tension rise up. In a video I made last week, I believe I posted how China says that they're ready to defend Russia no matter where in the world. Right? And then you got talks of North Korea wanting to start a fight.
Is North Korean leader Kim Jong-un about to go to war with South Korea and the United States? Some experts think it's possible. Kim has ordered his military to prepare for the occupation of South Korea and is, according to some, engaged in frantic military development. And after South Korea and the United States began the Freedom Shield 24 exercises designed to deter a North Korean invasion, it only caused Kim to issue more threats of war. The task of North Korean experts has always been to try to separate bluster from real threats. And in the past, it's usually been bluster. Bong Young-shik at the Institute for North Korean Studies in Seoul says it's bluster, meant to undermine the current South Korean government from winning parliamentary elections in April. A disturbing report earlier this year by the respected 38 North website, however, indicates this time Kim may be serious. 38 North reports Kim Jong-un has made a strategic decision to go to war because the communist government sees a window of opportunity to forcibly reunify the Korean peninsula. If the report is true, Asian expert Gordon Chang believes it would be part of a wider Asian war.
North Korea wouldn't go to war unless it got the approval of both Moscow and Beijing. So probably if North Korea were to attack South Korea, it would be in conjunction with China attacking Japan, Taiwan, Philippines, India.
Concerns about North Korea's nuclear program have grown in the past 2 years, as the North has test-launched missiles at a record pace and openly threatened to launch a nuclear attack on the United States. Chang does not necessarily agree that North Korea is preparing for war, but says if it is, the blame falls on the White House for appearing weak.
An important part of this article that I believe is absolutely true, and that is the authors maintain that Kim Jong-un believes that the United States is in global retreat and that essentially he can pretty much do what he wants. That is a very dangerous mentality. And this is a thinking that also affects Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. The United States needs to reestablish deterrence, because at this moment, the bad actors think that they have a green light.
So there you have it, right? The nations, even the weak nations, are saying they're strong, and they're starting to come up against the powers that be, that being the nation of Edom, the NATO and the American Western power. Next, let's read this. This is Luke 21:25. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, and the sea and the waves roaring. And we just went over the distress of nations that's going on right now. Right? We're seeing nations starting to build up their military and starting to puff at each other. Next, what we're going to be talking about is the signs in the sun. And what are these signs? Well, let's take a look at this.
So the 2017-2024 solar eclipse, a lot of people should notice by now. If you don't, then I'm guessing this is your date of you finding out about this. So The coincision of this eclipse pass is here in southern Illinois, also known as Carbondale, also known as Little Egypt. And this X right here is actually not the 2017-2024 total solar eclipse pass, but it's actually two fault line cracks that is going across America. 1,700 miles one way, 1,600 miles the other way, and the coincision is, as you can see, is the same, precisely the same location. X marks the spot, and that area just happens to be the New Madrid seismic zone. I showed this map already, and I'll just show it again for context. The New Madrid seismic zone is known for 3 great eclipses, and it's also, 3 great earthquakes, and it's also known as one of the biggest dangers to America. This is a map from USGS, and as you can see, talking about the highest hazards and lowest hazards. This is the bar, this is the meter. All right, and as you can see right here, where the X marks the spot, simultaneously with the eclipse and the earthquakes, the activity is very, very high, and threat level and danger level is very, very high. So this is an Exodus sign. An Exodus sign. This is a sign of an Exodus, a physical, spiritual, mental awakening, an Exodus out of a system, and it's also a prophetic sign for a people. Book reference. The intersection of these two fault lines create an X at the New Madrid seismic zone, located in Missouri, just an hour-and-a-half drive or 30-minute flight from Carbondale, known as Little Egypt. What's particularly unsettling is the striking resemblance between the map of the seismic cracks and the paths of totality observed in the solar eclipse. The correlation in the paths and locations might invoke a sense of awe or terror, depending on one's perspective, and invites contemplation on the possible means or connection these natural phenomena might hold. And you can see the striking resemblance in Forbes magazine Doomsday Map or Doomsday Crack, because this would be the precise location of X marks the spot. The unsettling parallels between the seismic crack and the path of totality are not lost on those who study them, yet the lack of public warning from scientists or authorities are baffling. It calls to mind scenes from disasters, movies like 2012, where the government concealed imminent catastrophic to avert panic. Could we be living in such scenario? Have those in power suspected a looming threat and chosen silence over alarm? These questions linger, leaving us to ponder the cryptic message that nature seems to be signaling, and wonder if humanity is truly ready to face whatever may be coming. Now we see where Forbes get their prediction from. But trust me, it's way much more deeper than you think. This is an Exodus sign for a chosen people. For the people, for humanity, for the world.
And this guy isn't wrong, right? This is a sign that the Lord is bringing forward his prophecies. And the crazy thing is, like he said, that town there, Cannondale, that it's known as Little Egypt. And what's the significance of that? Well, this. You see, America is the new Egypt, right? It's the modern day Egypt, which us Israelites, the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, have been brought through biblical, divine events that have taken us through being conquered, losing our heritage, going into captivity, and then raising up and mingling ourselves amongst the heathen, okay, and being in a state of servitude. Well, as the Lord said, right, that the Lord would bring us back into Egypt again by ships, right? The Northern Kingdom came over here on ships in around 680 circa, and the Southern Kingdom came over here on ships starting in 1618, okay, during the North Atlantic slave trade. And again, the big sign that is coming on March 8th, right? What did this say? Right, let me show you this video, because the brother posted up what it's going to look like, a simulation on the eclipse. And down here at the bottom, you can see it tells you the city, like Florence, Alabama, Friendsville, I think that's Minnesota, Salisbury, Connecticut, and so on. Right, it shows you the time. So, for example, this doesn't show California, but in California, this will happen from like 10 to 11 and be fully cleared by 12. But again, because in California we're not under the main passage underneath it, we're not going to see a full eclipse like what you're seeing here. Now, eventually, some places are going to get that full ring, and these are going to be like that guy showed in the video, that line of totality, right? That's going to go over, and namely over that city, Little Egypt, which also is in the New Madrid fault line. Okay, and remember, there's a scripture that tells you that the Lord was going to bring forward these signs. And what else did the Lord tell us? Right, as one of the signs to look out for in the when he was here, he said, this is Matthew 12 and 39. But he answered and said unto them, an evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. Okay, so you see, when you get into this eclipse, it crosses over 7 towns called Nineveh, and one of the towns is called I believe it's Rapture. Now, there's no such thing as the Christian rapture, right, where the Lord takes the believers and then comes back 7 years and takes the rest that convert. No, there's only going to be one so-called rapture, and that's going to be for the Israelites who are going to make it till the end, right? Because the Messiah said that those that endure until the end, the same shall be saved. So again, there's no saved people until we're done with this. Okay, everybody's going to have to go through these trials and tribulations, the hour of temptations, as the scripture says.
Now, but the amazing thing is people don't know the solar eclipse is happening on the very same day as the original plagues of the 3 days of darkness began.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
It's on the very same day.
This one we're going to have.
April 8th is the very day of the 3 days of darkness plagues began in the original
land of
Exodus.
Egypt.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Is this a warning then? Is God's, it's going, we got the Nineveh and the Jonah towns going through, but I mean, what kind of warning is this?
Great question. Here's the thing. In Genesis 1:14, God declared the sun and the moon were for signs.
Right.
The only signs they can give is eclipses. All right. And the nice thing about eclipses, no false prophet can manipulate it.
No.
Okay. And they speak to every language, tribe, nation, and tongue.
Yep.
They don't need to be translated.
Nope.
Solar eclipse means judgment is coming upon a nation. Lunar eclipse refers to judgment coming upon Israel.
Okay.
Now, get a load of this. There has only been, since we become a nation in 1776, there has only been 8 total solar eclipses that have completely crossed the United States. I'm not talking about one that just clips California or Florida. I'm talking that traverses the whole United States horizontally or vertically. There's only been 8 since we became a nation.
Wow.
And guess when they occurred? 2 of them occurred during the Revolutionary War. 3 of them occurred during the Civil War. 2 of them occurred during the Vietnam War. Are we getting a hint of what this means?
Oh, no.
And so now in the 2000s, there was 2017, and now this one in 2024, and it's like a bullseye. It forms an X right over the United States. Now, here's what's amazing. Of those 8, only one, which was the one 7 years ago, it only crossed the United States and no other country. The other ones crossed Mexico and Canada and US or something like that. But the United States was singled out with
Just
the one
one.
7 years ago.
Yes.
Once.
Wow.
And now we have April 8th on Nisan 1. That Nisan 1 is the same day the glory of God fell. It's the same day at the inauguration ceremony of Moses' tabernacle. Okay, this is when this eclipse crosses these 2 places in the United States, and it's definitely God wants to communicate with us. People have to understand, God wants to communicate. These eclipses are communications directly from God warning us of what's coming.
I mean, this is without a question a biblical sign. I was telling people earlier that, you know, you got the solar eclipses. That's God made. When you have a lunar eclipse or a blood moon that you were so famous in bringing forward, that's a God sign. There's two different types of locusts coming, you know, we know that. You know, there's all of these signs that are coming right now are all God signs. They're not man-made, not man-manipulated. It isn't Y2K.
Right.
Okay, it's not the Mayan calendar.
Right.
It's not Harold Camping predicting the rapture, all of which man made and failed. These are God's signs. You can't run from these. These are biblical, right?
That's the whole point. See, the problem is the church is on the wrong calendar, because our regular calendar is based only on the sun.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
And Iran uses the same calendar we do. Okay. Then you have the Muslim calendar, which is only based on the moon. Now, they're both scientifically accurate, but they're not the one God uses. Like if I'm meeting with you, we have a 2 or 3 hour time difference.
Right.
If we're going to meet, we got to agree on what time.
Right.
God is the master of time. And if you're a slave, who controls your time? The master.
The master
He tells you when to go to bed, when to get up, when to do this. God, the first commandment, most people don't realize, you know, the very first commandment wasn't given on Mount Sinai. The very first commandment was given in Egypt, and it was get on my calendar. Nisan 1 is the first day. He wants his people on his calendar. Well, in Genesis 1:14, it says, let them determine the times. Not let the sun, not let the moon. But the reason why, you can only have a solar eclipse on a new moon. You can only have a lunar eclipse on a full moon.
That's true.
So that's why he says, okay, your months are based on the new moon. This is why I can communicate with you.
Yep.
Okay, Passover and Sukkot are on a full moon, so I can communicate with you.
Because it's the appointed times. Appointed times.
Exactly.
So there you see, the Lord is making a clear sign with this eclipse. Right, we're going to have to wait to see. Right, next, not this coming up Monday, but it's the Monday after that. Okay, so so you got what? This next week, and then the week following that, coming back out of the weekend, that following Monday, on the 8th, we're gonna see this eclipse, and then we're gonna see what's coming after it. Right, and the crazy thing is that they're getting ready for the National Guard to show up at some of these towns. You have this kind of like sensationalist Judite who comes out with videos. He said that he was called by a sheriff, and they were told from the Department of Homeland Security to be careful because some people are going to be displaying animalistic tendencies after the eclipse. So who knows what's coming, right? People may get bugged out and start acting crazy, or you may have Esau push forward these his 3 days of darkness, right? Hence the Lord bringing back the 3 days of darkness of Egypt, right? But it may be at the hands of Egypt, or these devils, through his plot, and there may be some substations that are destroyed. You're going to have big electrical outages, right? These devils are already warning that the light may go out because of disruptions in service and whatnot. So again, just be careful, Akim. This right here is going to more likely turn into something huge. And again, these devils, they're known for never letting an emergency go to waste. Now, let's move on.
Could a Texas cow start Armageddon in the Middle East in April 2024? And what does this have to do with Israel's war on Palestine's Gaza? On the 100-day anniversary of Israel's brutal assault on Gaza, Hamas spokesman Abu Ubaidah released a video explaining the motivations behind the group's incursion into Israel on October 7th. Alongside Israel's continued occupation of Palestine, he also mentioned the bringing of red cows into the occupied Palestinian territories. Ubaidah was referring to the plans of numerous right-wing Israeli groups who believe that a red cow must be sacrificed in order for the Jews to progress plans to demolish the Al-Aqsa Mosque and build the fabled Third Temple in its place. It might sound like a conspiracy theory, but hardliner Israeli group the Temple Institute have already purchased and imported 5 red Angus heifers from Texas been grazing in a kibbutz in the occupied West Bank since 2022, with reports that the sacrifice is planned to take place as early as April 2024. The sacrifice of the red heifer has its roots in the Torah and the Talmud, and it is believed that the ritual is necessary to purify the Jews so that they can pray at the Al-Aqsa compound. The sacrifice will reportedly take place on a plot of land on the Mount of Olives facing the Al-Aqsa Mosque. The cow must be completely red, including its hooves, and must be around 3 years old at the time of sacrifice. Following the sacrifice, the ashes of the cow are due to be mixed with water and used to purify selected Jewish priests and their adherents. Since occupying East Jerusalem in 1967, right-wing Zionists have long sought to build a third temple in place of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. While initially the goal only of fringe groups such as the Temple Institute, the plan has been mainstreamed in recent years, with groups of settlers regularly storming the Muslim compound and attracting support from numerous politicians and commentators. Temple organizations have even submitted blueprints for the construction of the temple and prepared the ornaments it will hold. Last year, during the month of Ramadan, a temple movement activist was arrested after he and a group of Jewish extremists attempted to bring a goat into the Al-Aqsa compound for a ritual sacrifice. The decades-long Israeli excavations under the Al-Aqsa Mosque have also been condemned by international archaeologists and denounced by numerous authorities who say they are a means of weakening the foundations of the mosque to facilitate its demolition. If Israel were to attempt to demolish the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third holiest site in Islam, it would trigger outrage across the Arab and Muslim world. However, even if these right-wing Jewish groups are unable to proceed with the demolition, many fear that the sacrifice itself could embolden Jewish extremists to occupy the mosque and further restrict the rights of Palestinians to access the holy site.
So as to the cows, you can see the 3 red heifers that still qualify to become the red heifer from which the ashes can be extracted for this very important ceremony of purification. All the 3 red heifers are of age now, so they are in their 3rd year. So that means they qualify already to be sacrificed.
Cows indeed are this deep reddish red earth color, and so we got to see them, we got to photograph them, we got to take our pictures together with them, and this to me was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It's something, like I said, that I never could have imagined that I would have the merit and the honor to participate in. And to me, this is just another sign that we're getting closer than ever to the final redemption, to the days of Mashiach. And recently, CBS News released a clip, I'll link it here in the description of the video, where they showed how Hamas launched the attack against Israel in part because they're concerned that the Jews plan to rebuild the temple.
But one confounding yet eye-opening motive has escaped the headlines. In a recent speech, a Hamas spokesman blamed the Jews for bringing red cows to the Holy Land. The cows he's talking about at a secure, undisclosed location are these.
And rebuilding the temple, of course, in their eyes is a threat to the Dome of the Rock. And Hamas actually pointed out that the Jews are preparing red heifers in order to build the temple. And this is something that they're very afraid of. And to me, when our worst enemies are afraid of something that we're doing, that's a sign that we're doing the right thing.
Do you remember spotless red heifers arriving at the Israel airport from Texas? That has gone one huge step ahead. And now Israel has built an altar for the red heifers to be sacrificed. The 5 heifers will be sacrificed and burned on none other date than the March 29th. Yes, the coming 29th of March. And when will the ashes be used for the ritual? On 31st March. 2 days after the slaughter. All the preparations have been made. All the prophecies are coming true, and the situation is going to be even scarier. All of these preparations only meant that the Jews had always been keen on their 3rd temple, and the arrival of their Messiah, and everything that they had been doing was actually for this very day. The Jews teach in their schools the purpose of their lives, and that is to pray and wait for the Messiah, and contribute everything they can towards the building of the 3rd temple. So what will really happen is that there will be a huge ceremony, most probably a highly secret one. There the rabbis will gather around and the heifer will be slaughtered. It won't be just any heifer, it will be a spotless, healthy, non-pregant, female red heifer, which has now been born after 2,000 years. This sacrifice will mark the arrival of the Messiah, who according to the beliefs of the Jews, will bring glory and peaks of power to them. The Jew rabbis say that this ritual is necessary before the arrival of their Messiah, the Dajjal. These red heifers will be slaughtered and burnt right before the preparations of the third temple begin. The ashes will then be cooled down, and then used for the holy purpose of purification. The book of Numbers, the fourth Bible clearly states that, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "This is a requirement of the law that the Lord has commanded. Tell the Israelites to bring you a red heifer without defect or blemish and that has never been under a yoke. This will be a lasting ordinance both for the Israelites and for the aliens living among them." This whole ritual of an unblemished red heifer is connected to a very important incident during the times of Hazrat Musa as. Hazrat Musa as had temporarily gone to the Mount Tur for worship, and the people of Bani Israel had started worshipping the cow behind his back. When Musa as came back, he killed the cow and destroyed its idol. So, a red heifer is in so many ways an important sign for Bani Israel. That is why they believe that if they once again sacrifice a red heifer in the name of Allah, they will succeed in their motives. They believe that after this happens, they will soon get the control of the Masjid al-Aqsa, and the Hekel of Sulaimani will be rebuilt soon. Now that we connect the arrival of red heifers in Israel, with the escalated situation of violence on the people of the Holy Land, we can see that things are really going towards the end of times. In just this past year 2022, 5 red heifers that comply with the required criterion have been imported from Texas, and today, they graze in a ground with utmost care and supervision, in a highly secret place. What is so special about these red heifers is that these are not just any red heifers. They qualify the strict criterion, which says that the heifer to be sacrificed should be red in color, between 3 and 4 years of age, never been pregnant, and it should not have a single spot on its body. Such a heifer had not been born in the last 2,000 years, but now, the Jews have what they had been so desperately looking for. Brothers and sisters, is any of this true? Is this red heifer a sign of the end of times?
This is 2 Corinthians 11 and 14. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. So I read this because when you understand what's going on, these Israelis, which are in the land of Israel today, they are not the biblical Jews. Okay, they are the biblical Edomites who are prophesied to steal the land of Israel. Let's get that. This is Ezekiel 36 and 5. This is what the sovereign Lord says: "In my burning zeal I have spoken against the rest of the nations and against all Edom, for with glee and with malice in their hearts they had made my land their own possession, and so that they might plunder its pasture lands." So you see, this is the NIV version because it says it more plainly. But yeah, it tells you that the nation of Edom, which are these Ashkenazi Jews, would eventually steal their land, and that's what you're ultimately seeing in them taking Gaza, the Basra Heights, southern Lebanon, and then also starting their campaigns into the Gaza, the West Bank. Okay, and their entrance into the West Bank is likely going to be the triggering factor that's going to bring the other nations right there to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which is prophesied to be where the Lord is going to gather these nations. Now, all these other things I brought up are the things that the Lord is doing to bring forward these nations. Okay, from the doing these military exercises to showing these other nations that the West is behind the terrorist attacks, to the crazy signs that the Lord is giving in the sky and how it's going over the towns of Nineveh and Jonah and Rapture and little Egypt, right? See that right there? There's no such things as coincidences, right? There's a famous saying that says coincidence is just God being anonymous. And it's plain to see, man, when you look at the way the signs work, that this is the Lord, right, putting together, his narrative, right, to putting together his narrative, right? He's showing the world what the truth is. Because of the terrorist attacks on Russia, you had Putin come out and reveal that the Israelites and the Messiah were so-called black people, right? And the thing is the biggest deception here is with this red heifer, right? These devils pretending to be the saints, pretending to be the chosen people, and masquerading as these angels of light, are trying to deceive the world, right? You see, because there's and this isn't in the Bible, but this comes from Christianity. You see, Christianity and also Islam, when you look at it, they know that there's going to come an antichrist. Now, the Bible doesn't say that there's going to be one particular antichrist, right? It tells you that there's many antichrists, and the main antichrist in the end time are going to be the nation of Edom. And how's that? Well, you see, the nation of Edom are the ones perpetrating this third temple. They're the ones perpetrating a returning of Cesare Borgia, which is the true name to white Jesus. Okay, that's their Messiah. Okay, the David Rothschild and whatnot, right? What that guy looks like. Okay, now the point being is that these are the false Jews, right? So hence they're going to build the false temple, and they're going to bring forward the false Messiah, right? They already, when you get into their religion, they have this guy that he's like an Orthodox Jew, and they're calling him the Messiah, right? And they're making these false claims of that he does miracles and he's healed people from cancer and all these things. So these devils, they got the whole world fooled, and they're going fully for it. And why is that? Well, because you see, they have plans to kill off the majority of the world, and to do that, they got to put on the razzle dazzle. Okay, it says, because you see the thing. But here's the biblical thing, right? Though they're building the false temple, there's a true temple being built. The third temple that they're trying to build is the spiritual temple, which Yahweh Shai was talking about building here. This is John 2:19. Yahweh Shai answered and said unto them, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. Okay, now he's ultimately talking about his body. Okay, because you see, the body of the Israelites, those are the temple of the Messiah. That's the true temple. Okay, so in this case here, Yahweh Shai was speaking about his own body, and hence how he was going to raise on the third day. Now, this isn't exclusively just for the Messiah. This is also for us Israelites. This is 1 Corinthians 3:16. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? See, the letter of Corinthians was written to the Hebrews, or as you could say, the Israelites that were living in the town of Corinth, right? Corinth being, I believe, in Turkey. You see, we're the temple of the Most High, right? And when you start to follow the ways of the Lord, you start following His commandments, and you're an Israelite, you make your body, you cleanse it, okay? And when you cleanse your body and you fill it with the knowledge of God, the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, which is the understanding of the Bible, by watching these lessons, hearing the apostles and the brothers break down what the Bible means, you start getting the understanding, and hence the Holy Spirit comes into you, right? The Spirit dwells with you, and then hence you become that temple of God. Okay, that's the true temple that is being raised up in this time. That's going to raise that great army, that when these devils see it, these Israelis, these elites of the world, they're going to be terrified with great fear, as the Bible says. This is Revelations 21:2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God, out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. You see, the Israelites, the nation of Israel, we are akin to the bride, right? That's going to be married on to the Messiah, who is the bridegroom. See, and this holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, this is going to be the elect, the 144,000 plus the 1,200 out of every 12 tribes, making the 144,000, the elect, right? And then you're going to have 1 out of every 3 Negro, Latino, and Native Americans, right? The 1/3. That's the New Jerusalem. Because remember, a place is a people before it's a place. Okay, it tells you this in Second Maccabees and a lot of other places in the Bible. So again, this is the true temple that's being built, not this fake temple that these devils are going to try to build. And as you've seen in that video, they're going to spread the ashes tomorrow. You know, that's the plan, right? They supposedly they sacrificed these heifers yesterday on the 29th, and on the 31st they're going to spread and sanctify the area with its ashes. This is Isaiah 55:6. Seek ye the Lord, Yahweh, B'Shem Yahshai, while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. So you see, we have to take heed to these signs that the Lord is giving. There's a reason why the Lord is giving these signs. He's not doing it to show off. He's doing it to call us Israelites to repent, to get right with the Lord, to follow his commandments, so that way we can receive the promise that was given unto us. So, and besides that, so we can regain our lost heritage. So hopefully this review of this week in prophecy was edifying, Akim. And hopefully I was able to go over some things that we don't cover too much, since there's been a lot of coverage of local information. I thought it'd be good to kind of cover things going on over there in the land of Jerusalem. Okay, so till the next time, I want to give honor and glory and praises to Yahweh, B'Shem Yahushai, B'Shem Ruach HaKodesh. Shalom.